What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Love and Hip Hop Miami. This is Season 6, Episode 21, and the episode is titled Chaos in Carousel. Baby, this episode was good, okay? Good and messy. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So unfortunately, we start this episode off with Amara, and she's with her baby daddy, Alan, okay? They over here rolling around in the bed. They got robes on, and I am just so confused as to why they're trying to sell us this fairy tale as if they are just so in love, and that is so far from the truth. Like, this whole thing, Alan just keeps saying how he wants to put 2 babies in her, okay? He just wants to get Amara pregnant. That's it. That's all. And then he goes on to talk about in his confessional that he got to figure out his whole situation with his wife. I'm sorry, sir. What do you mean figure it out? Because, again, here you go, selling Amara dreams, and her dumb ass keep falling for it. Because the way you phrase that, when you apologize, not even apologize, let me not say that. That man did not apologize. When you came through and told her that you and your wife had talked already, and you decided to choose you made it seem like you left the relationship with your wife. You're planning on getting a divorce. That man ain't about to leave that wife. I'm telling y'all now, he's not about to leave his wife, especially not for Amara. Sorry to tell you, girl, it ain't gonna happen. Now, Amara, she's still upset with Shay because she feels like Shay is taking things out on Alan, when she should be saying that stuff to Fabo. Here's the thing, I absolutely agree with that. Shay definitely needs to take a step back because, number one, Amara's stupid. Number two, you got some heat that you could absolutely give to your own baby daddy. But I think the difference here is that this man has completely disrespected Amara in front of everybody, okay? Not only that, Shay has the knowledge of how her brother feels about Amara and how that situation went down. So I think that Shay just kind of feels like, how is it that Alan is able to continue to get away with this? Like, how is he still being able to, mesmerize Amara? And then he's also just walking around here like he's that guy when he's not. All right, but you know what? Let's go ahead and move on from Amara because we actually see Trina and Swerve. They are so boring and so dry. I really wish that this would be her last season. Because the only thing they talked about is how there's so much drama going on and they're not really here for that. Moving on, we get to Shay. She decides to bring an uninvited guest. And who's that? Her brother, MJ. I'm like, yo, this is the most tell a friend to bring a friend event that I've ever seen on TV. Everybody brought a +1, okay? So she basically gives her brother a rundown on everything that's happened so far, especially what happened with Amara and how Alan done popped up here and how now they about to ride off into the sunset. MJ feels some type of way about Alan because at the end of the day, he wants to take this story all the way back to the beginning and how Alan has never apologized. Alan has never been like, oh, I know that was your girl and I messed around with her. That wasn't my intention. It just kind of happened. Like, he could say something. Nah. The way Alan be rolling up on MJ, it's like he be punking him every single time. However, for some reason, MJ is adamant to have a conversation with this man. Honestly, at this point, I want MJ to let it go. Let it go, because you're never going to get the results that you want in this situation. Then we hop on over to Shay, though. She feels some type of way about Alan. She don't like nothing about this man, okay? When she started listing off all the things that she don't like about him, it was giving Kendrick Lamar when he was listing all the things he didn't like about Drake. I don't like the way he walked. I don't like his hairline. I don't like the way he talk. He disrespectful. He's this, that, another. I mean, she definitely ran him down for sure. That is absolutely all the characteristics that he has. But at the same time, I said, ooh, Shay, but your baby daddy got some of those same things. I think the only difference right now is the fact that at this current moment on this show, you are sticking to your guns and you don't want to be with Fabo. However, after we saw that last conversation that you had with Mike Nasty, where you were telling him that you don't know if you and your baby daddy was going to get back together again, yeah. it's giving you low-key got the same energy as Amara, but because Fabo ain't in your face, you don't get to express it out loud. We gonna go ahead and move on. All right, let's go ahead and move on, though, because we got to get to Gael. Gael, I think you're a little confused, sweetheart. You told us that you were changing. You were moving in a good direction. However, why are you sitting up here telling Trick Daddy, Miami Tip, I can't think of who else was there, that you invited Fabo here? Girl, what? And her reasoning is because, well, you know, Shay, she doesn't let Fabo see his daughter and all these things. Girl, that's because he ain't a good daddy. Like, you jumping in is something that you shouldn't be jumping in to, sweetheart. And on top of that, like, don't you have, like, a thing with him? Like, ain't nothing really changed about you, girl. But I like that you're trying to pretend in everybody's face, okay? Now, here we go, y'all. Tip, again, is the only one with some common sense on this whole damn trip. Because she's like, listen, you inviting Fabo is no different than Alan being here, okay? They both walk around with dark clouds around them. I said, baby, truer words have not been spoken on this season. Because that is a fact. Especially when she said how the baby mamas be tripping once the men come around, okay? We've seen it firsthand, okay? Now, what had me hollering was the fact that Trick had asked Gael, like, oh, so you messing around with him? And she said, yeah, she didn't deny it. And Trick was like, yeah, you really walking around here like a real homewrecker. Like, do you know what change is? She don't, Trick. She don't know. I don't think she knows what change is at this point. However, Gael swears she got good intentions on inviting this man. So next thing you know, Bobby comes over and they tell him, listen, Gael invited Fabo. Now he upset because he's like, why would you invite that man? You already know how Shay is about him. Like, she gonna act a fool. Like, why did you do that? And Gael, she's adamant that she was in the right to invite him. All right, girl, let's move on. Y'all, more people come outside, right? Now, again, I'm a little confused because Pinky Doll over here is talking about some, oh, yeah, we can get some drinks. I ain't gonna get y'all some drinks. Girl, aren't you like a former alcoholic or something like that? You don't need to be drinking. Sit down somewhere. Moving on from that, you have Bobby going to tell Flo that, you know, her sister kind of messy because she invited Fabo. And of course, Flo's response is that, well, you know, she's a hoe, but I thought she found God. Child, I can't. I cannot with this group of people. So at this point, everybody starts to have a good time, right? The drinks are flowing. You know, more people come out. I think it was like Trina and her man came out or whatever. Okay, cool. Here come Hot Topic strolling out there looking like somebody mama. Talking about some, oh, well, y'all having a good time without me. Girl, why are you here? Baby, Bobby's so fed up. Because, keep in mind, just a few minutes ago, he heard about Fabian being here. Now he got to hear about Hot Topic being here. And you know he don't like her. He like, who invited her? Who invited her? So, we all know it was Zoe. Because her and Zoe are sort of kind of cool right now. And Zoe, in her confession, was like, oh, I didn't think it was that deep when they got into it. Well, girl, that means you shouldn't have invited this girl. Come on now. So, they get into it again. Bobby and Hot Topic. They go back and forth again. And here we go with Hot Topic saying how, no, it's because Bobby showed me the text messages. And he knew I was going to be the person to get to the bottom of the situation. And blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of her. Like, I cannot stand Hot Topic. Then, for Trina, of all people to butt in, to be like, you know, y'all need to fix this because this is so petty. Girl, was it petty when you was 2 seconds for slapping her? Because let's not forget, you was ready for real to put hands on Hot Topic when it came to your man. So, what's going on here? Because Trina definitely was like, you know, Hot Topic should stay. So I'm like, so I guess you forgave her? I guess you and Hot Topic are good now? Whatever, child. Let's move on. Now here comes some of the mess. Amara and Alan show up, right? And of course, Amara is showing up like this is her man. Like, they've been together for years. Girl, that is not even what's happening right now. Now, what was crazy to me is that Zoe was the one to be like, oh, I'm so sick of him. I'm so tired of him popping up. And I'm like, Zoe, you don't even know this man. I'm going to need for you to go ahead and bring that energy down. So Flo is standing there with Zoe and she's like, what's up with that? And Zoe tells her, well, he's supposedly taking care of the kids now and stuff, right? Alan, he's like walking by. Keep in mind, Gael and Flo are at the same table. He done messed around with both of these sisters. And she's like, oh, so you can't say hi? Baby, Alan is trying to avoid her and her sister at this point. Okay? Because he trying to get in Amara good graces. So at one point, Flo starts to go off on Alan. Like, oh, you here with her? This is the same girl that you dogged out, same girl you talked about, or whatever. She's repeating stuff that I guess he done told her, while they was over there pillow talking. And the crowd is all into the drama. Like, ooh, oh, he said what? And I was like, y'all so extra. Y'all are so extra. Now, honestly, y'all, the craziest thing for me in this whole situation was Amara trying to defend Alan. Like, girl, you knew that he was laid up with this girl. You already knew that. This is the same man who was telling her stuff about y'all situation and how he don't get to see the kids and all the things that he was saying about you. You look crazy defending him right now. Then out of nowhere, here comes Gael because she got to defend her sister. Baby, one thing about Gael, she is always going to defend Flo. Even though Flo can be wrong as wrong can be, she's going to defend her, okay? And out of nowhere, why is Pinky Doll trying to be involved in the drama? Like, girl, we know you don't like Amara, but this ain't your fight. Scoot all the way back, okay? And I mean scoot all the way back to the airport because we don't need you here. Now, out of nowhere, Gael makes the public announcement that Alan was sexting her, okay? And baby, Miss Mama's even had proof, okay? Because she decided that she was going to show a couple of the people there the text messages that he sent. And here's the thing, Alan, you are so trash. But what's crazier to me is the way that Amara just refuses to let go of him. Like, girl, get a grip. Who cares if he's your baby daddy? He's still garbage. Now, at this point, Shay and MJ have showed up. And here's the thing. MJ did not lie when he was like, all of this commotion and ruckus that's going on, it's all because of Alan. And it absolutely was. Now, the girls are literally going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Again, Miami Tip, the only voice of reason. Like, can we please let this girl be a cast member at this point? Because she like, y'all doing all this yelling, all this fight with each other. Ain't nobody said nothing about this man who's sitting up here looking goofy. Now, I mean, she just called him goofy, but I did. And here's the thing. Alan is literally skating by. Like, it's crazy the way the girls are going after each other. When he the one who laid down with all three of these girls. Like, be so for real right now. This is so stupid. Like, Tip is literally telling the whole group that at this point that Alan is making Amara look stupid, right? And what is Alan's response? You need to mind your business. AKA, don't worry about what I got going over here. Okay? If I want Amara to jump up and down on one foot and bark like a dog, she'll do it. Because at the end of the day, Amara is so desperate to be with Alan. So here's the thing. Amara, she decides to say, oh, where's the message? Where's the messages at? Because Gael said that Alan was sending her videos. Well, here we go. Gael actually has proof. Like, Amara, you should be so embarrassed. My God, every season you let a man embarrass you, one way or another. Please get it together. Now, I'm so mad that we paused right there so that we could go back to Miami to see Shay Mama go to dinner with Mike Nasty. Like, we could have held this little segment until the next episode, okay? But while we're here, let's talk about it. So they meet up or whatever. And originally, this was supposed to be a date with Shay. However, since Shay is out of town, he decided to take her mom out. Okay. Really nice, really sweet. He does end up apologizing to her because when things got heated and elevated at their video premiere, you know, he didn't want Shay's mom to see that side of him. But at the end of the day, when he saw Shay get so upset, he kind of jumped in protector mode and was like ready for whatever. Okay. Now, her mom appreciates him for sticking up for Shay. And I can't lie, y'all. Honestly, watching Shay mama talk to this man, I'm like, listen, Shay, if you don't want him, let your mama have him, okay? Because they are getting along, okay? Now, next thing you know, we see someone walking up with the kittenest of a kitten heel. I mean, I ain't never seen a kitten heel so low. Like, I think that, you know how the little girls, they have the princess outfits, like the princess dresses with the little princess heels? I think the princess heels have more of a heel than this kitten heel that Mama D got on. I'm like, girl, just put on a flat. You could have just put on a cute little sandal and we could have been done. Because that little less than half of an inch heel you had on, stop playing. Nonetheless, Sandra basically wants Mama D to ask this man some questions. Mama D starts off with, what does he do for a living, I believe? No. She asked him, do he live with his mama? He said no. She asked him what he do for a living. He said he owned businesses. To this day, we still don't know what type of business this man owns. What got me was Mama D saying, oh, you own businesses with an apostrophe S? I said, what? All because he said he owns businesses, ma'am? There's no apostrophe S. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my God. Like, that woman, it's like she purposely tries to embarrass herself. I need her to stop. Okay, so then she ends up asking him about his criminal history, which we already know about it. At first he was just kind of winning him over, you know, because at the end of the day, I feel like Mike, he doesn't hide who he is. He doesn't hide his past. Like, he's giving off the energy of what you see is what you get. All right, cool, fine. This is where it took a little dip for me. And I said, Mama D, go away from me with this. She want to ask him about how he is in the bedroom. Ma'am, off limits. Off limits. Not your business. And honestly, when Mama D asked that question, that kind of made me think, like, girl, what kind of questions do you be asking Scrappy? Or when you meet, like, new chicks that Scrappy be dating, what kind of questions do you be asking them? Because that was giving weirdo. But nonetheless, let's go back to Curacao. All right, so at this point, we've already established that Gael has these videos, right? Now, Amara ends up posing a question to her. However, she hit Amara back with saying that, what's his name? Alan. He's a little small down there. And, the thing is that Amara didn't deny it. He didn't deny it. So I'm just kind of like, y'all not gonna fight back now? Y'all was doing all that fighting before. Y'all not gonna fight back now? You not gonna defend yourself, sir? Maybe it's true. Now, Amara, she already know that, like, she's on the ropes at this point, okay? She's taking L's left and right. And the only thing she can say is that everybody is on their hate fest. And Tip is like, nah, ain't nobody hating on you over there. Tip again calls out Alan for being the common denominator. And clearly that is going over Amara's head. Because she decided to give a whole speech about how she's all about healing and how she has 2 kids with this man. And at the end of the day, she pretty much is moving on with him. Okay? Whatever. Next thing you know, guess who pops up skinny and gritty? It is Fabo. I'm like, oh my God. Production. I know y'all didn't have that man waiting to the side to be like, hold on. Let them finish their drama. Then we're going to have you go in. Because that's exactly what it's giving. So first thing he do, Fabo gives Gael a hug or whatever. And he says, oh, I need to talk to Shay. She like, yeah, go ahead, talk to her, right? Now, keep in mind, Shay's at the table with Trick Daddy. Of all people to be at that table with, girl, wrong person. Because he like, oh, yeah, Shay, you over there blushing and go ahead, get a man a hug. I'm like, Trick, go sit down somewhere. Didn't nobody invite you to the conversation? And all you hear is Tip in the background. And she's yelling out to Shay like, girl, don't you fall for him and his shenanigans. And here's the thing. She probably gonna pull it tomorrow on us and fall for this man. Now, one thing that I will say is that I do like the fact that Shay would rather have a conversation with Fable in private because, baby, this could have got real messy. So they go off to the side. Now we got to stir up the drama with Alan and MJ at this point. So Bobby asks a valid question. How long was these two guys friends before, everything went south? Baby, before anybody can say anything, because one thing about Amara, she refuses to let Alan speak for himself. She jumps in and was like, oh no, see, we not about to do that because when me and MJ had, that's in the past. I moved on, he's moved on. Bitch, we didn't ask none of them questions. We didn't even ask you to speak. The question was, how long were they friends? Now, MJ walks over or whatever, and he's like, listen, at the end of the day, my issue is with this man. Me and Amara, we cool. Whenever he want to handle it, we can handle it, okay? And I'm like, again, can somebody at least answer the question? Because, Bobby, it was a valid question. They just refused to tell us what's going on. And I feel like it's because Amara will look like a hoe, but it's like, girl, it is what it is. Now, as they're talking, MJ kind of like flinched at Alan, and Alan definitely took the bait. And I'm telling y'all, that stance that Alan went into, I said, what kind of fighting stance is that, buddy? That's a little weird. Like, why are your knees buckling? Baby, next thing you know, it starts raining outside, okay? That means everybody got to go ahead, separate, and figure something else out to do for the night, okay? So, at this point, we have a group of people in a room. I want to say it was Tip, Bobby, Gael, Zoe, and they're pissed because the trip is not going how it was supposed to go, okay? Everybody's fighting. Everybody is, on a certain type of time, and this is not what we were supposed to be doing. We were supposed to be relaxing, having fun, and getting some type of clarity with each other, but it should have never gotten to all this drama. Now, Bobby had a very valid point of all of this drama is a problem because everybody wanted to invite extra people. And that's very true. Pinky Doll didn't have to be here. Neither did Flo have to be here. Alan did not have to be here. Hell, MJ didn't have to be here. Who else got invited? Hot Topic for sure didn't have to be here. It was a lot of people who came who did not need to be on this trip. Now, baby, Bobby was in his bag in this moment, okay? Because Zoe was like, well, I invited Hot Topic and y'all get into it all the time. Like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. He's like, you know what? I can even tolerate Hot Topic, okay? At the end of the day, like, I can move past that situation. However, and he looks over to Gael and is like, nah, you invited Fabo? That was not on no healing for Shay. At the end of the day, you got your own ulterior motives, and that wasn't cool. And he ain't lying, because Gael, what did you think was gonna happen? Did you think that Fabo was gonna get back good with Shay, and then she was gonna give y'all the okay and go ahead to date? Like, I'm not understanding what your motive is, and I don't even think you can explain it. And again, here comes Miami Tip, being the common sense in the room. She's like, yeah, the thing is that Gael knows that when he's good with his main chick, he'll spend some more time with his side chick, okay? Because that means everybody's good. I said, well, again, Tip ain't lying. And y'all know, sometimes Tip used to get on my nerves, but I'm feeling her lately. All right, so we jump on over to Fabo and Shay, right? And Shay lets us know that basically Fabo has been blowing her phone up, okay? Trying to see what's going on, trying to see if they can get back together. Now, according to him, he says that he is trying to fight for his family back. Okay. All right, so basically Shay says that she appreciates the fact that he's trying to fight for his family, but at the end of the day, she still has to worry about him messing around with other women. okay? According to him, she's basically being delusional because ain't no other women. Like, she needs to get that out of her head. And I'm like, sir, be so for real. Like, we all know that you probably still messing around with somebody. Hell, you was just over there flirting with Gael. So at this point, again, this man is trying to get his family back. And she's like, okay, well, I don't trust you. So how are we going to build this trust back? Like, should you be going to therapy or something? And I feel like at this point, Fabo will tell her anything to try to get back in her good graces. So at this point, she's asking him, like, who'd you talk to? Because according to him, he talked to somebody about things. And he's like, oh, no, I talked to a pastor. We don't believe you. You need more people. Like, I remember us seeing Swerve talk to a pastor. I don't remember nothing about no, what's his name? Fabo. I don't remember Fabo talking to no pastor, okay? He gets upset because Shay is not giving in like she typically does. So he ends up walking off. And I'm like, yeah, please stay going. Like, if anything, Shay, this should have just showed you that you need to go ahead and move on. Because how did this end? She over here yelling to the top of her lungs about him not having no fight in him. And if he really wanted to fix the situation, then he wouldn't have walked away. He would have continued to have an open and honest conversation with her, okay? No, I just said that nicely, but she was doing all that yelling, okay? He decides to walk all the way off. Now, we slide our asses back over there to Mama D. And I promise y'all, I don't know how we got here. Mama D is trying to finesse Mike Nasty into getting Shay a really big gift, okay? Because we all know that Fabo ended up giving Shay that Tesla that supposedly belonged to somebody else, right? Now Mama D feels like Mike Nasty needs to do something similar. He needs to give her a car as well. And I'm just like, wait a second. They ain't even really together. Like, they are not in a relationship. They've been on a few dates. What you talking about? And basically, she feels like he needs to get her a car that's not that Tesla that Fabo got her, right? And he's like, oh, well, you know, that can happen because I own a few car lots. I said, oh, we finally understand what this man does. Child, I guess we gonna see what happens when it comes to Shay and Mike Nasty. But let's go ahead and move back to Carousel. Alright, so now we gotta go ahead and get to Alan and MJ, right? First of all, when Alan walked up, he was like, ugh, raggedy ass. I said, oh, why you calling it raggedy? Here's the thing. When it comes to these two, Alan basically feels like he owes MJ nothing, okay? Now, MJ, I can't lie, I had to give you the side eye because he's like, you met me through my brother, and had you told me that you and Amara was doing y'all thing, then I would have took a step back. No, you wouldn't have, because weren't you dating her at the time? Like, that was the story that y'all all fed us. So why would you have taken a step back, especially considering how much you loved Amara? Be so for real. Now, Alan don't answer nothing that MJ says because he's yelling about how MJ is broke and MJ wants Amara to take care of him. And here's the thing. I really wish that MJ would have a job so that people can not throw that in his face, because honestly, I've been wondering, what exactly does MJ do? You know what I'm saying? Now, listen, if he was to drop that country song he was over there singing, he may be going places. Not that one with the mama. Don't drop the song with the mama. Drop the country song. You may be going places with that one. And at this point, because Alan has called this man broke, Alan is like, not Alan, MJ, he's like, you don't know what I've done for Amara. You don't know what I did for her in this relationship. I spent $12,000 for her on her birthday. And Alan is like, you did what? You spent what? Because he don't believe him. Now, what got me was when MJ said, yeah, I spent $12,000, and that's something that you ain't even spent on your kids. And I said, well, you got them there, because I don't think Alan has spent a dime on them girls. So, Alan also brings up the fact that at some point, MJ had to get some money from him, right? Now, according to MJ, he says that when they went to the DR, him and Amara, they was there for like 2 months, and they was spending a bunch of money, okay? He offered it, okay? Alan offered to give them some money, and according to MJ, it was only $500, and when he got back to Miami, he ended up sending him the money back, right? Now, for me, if somebody has already paid you the money back, you can't really throw that back in their face because technically they paid you back. So that's not really a dig. But also at the same time, one thing that I will say is that Amara, both of these men, they look at you sideways at this point. Okay? Now, I feel like for MJ, he does not like the fact that, number one, you got with Alan. Number two, he got past that at one point. However, he still would love to be with you. And yet you're still going back to Alan, who keeps dogging you out. Okay? So I think his respect for you has dwindled. Because when he was like, yeah, when you came to my event and you was looking for your bitch, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that MJ was going to say that. Now, when it comes to Alan, Alan ain't never had respect for Amara. And the fact that he's literally trying to throw it in MJ's face like, oh, you crying over her, but I'm fucking her. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's still giving off the vibe that Alan, he just wants Amara to only be with him, okay? He won't let her move on to anybody else. Even though he don't even want her full time. Even though he knows that he's not going to be with Amara, he just want to make sure nobody else gets to have Amara. And that's some psycho stuff. So we pretty much end this episode with these two men about to fight, okay? Because Alan gets super pissed off when MJ tells him, you know what, go be with your kids. Go be with your kids. And for some reason, that is the thing that set Alan off for real. And I'm just like, why? Is it because it's something that you refuse to do? Like, you refuse to go be around your children, and for him to tell you that, like, that's like reality setting in? I'm not understanding. Hell, the real question is, which set of kids does he need to go with? The ones in the DR? Or the ones with Amara? Child, this episode has been a hot mess. You hear me? But that was the end of the episode, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought about it. What y'all thought about all the baby daddy drama that went on. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.